Don't stop them now on BBC One. Brian May is helping Andrew Neil turn up the heat this week.
And as the sun shines on Wimbledon and England's women footballers make a splash at the World Cup, we look at the politics of sport with guitarist and Queen legend Brian May.
How wonderful time was when people thought only men could kick a ball around a football pitch. You know what? Some traditions get broken. And you know what? There's some sports which need to bite the dust.
Now, we love a spot of physical exertion here on This Week. We can't get enough of it, but we have to admit some terrible things have been done in the name of sport. Bulls have been fought, foxes have been hunted, badgers have been baited, and don't get me started on the Romans, whose barbaric traditions live on in East Lancashire, where people still pay good money to watch poor Burnley FC tormented, tortured on a regular basis, before the unfortunate club is put out of its misery and relegated from the Premier League to something called the Championship. Only a sadist could take any pleasure in such cruelty. But that's what we've decided to consider, what constitutes a sport, and put the politics of sport in this week's spotlight. It's a month of summer sport, with Wimbledon bouncing onto the front pages and the Ashes stepping up to the crease. And amid the FIFA scandal, actual footballs are being kicked. In roaring to the World Cup semi-finals, the Lionesses shot higher than any England team for 25 years. So will the women's game finally get the same global status as the men's? Gender politics are being volleyed around centre court too. Judy Murray says women should play 5 sets like the men. Sport might be a test of athleticism, but one sore point this year is whether the gents should get heat breaks like the ladies do. Sport wouldn't be sport without the money. The BBC could lose its Olympic broadcasting rights unless it can strike a deal with Discovery, who this week scored a pan-European deal to show future games. And when does sport stop being sport? When there's bloodshed involved, says rock legend Brian May. This week he's been lobbying Tory MPs to uphold the hunting ban after the party promised to hold a vote on its repeal. So can you ever stop politics playing a part in sport? Or is it all part of the game? And a special welcome to rock legend Brian May. Good to see you.
Thank you, Andrew.
I know you're against fox hunting. Do you consider it a sport?
No, not for a second. I mean, if you ask yourself that question, sport is about, on the one hand, the first thing I would say, anybody who takes part in sport, it's a voluntary thing, right? Everyone who takes part in a sport volunteers, it's under their own will. Secondly, everybody has an equal chance, right? Now, in what way is a sport which, in which some of the participants will get disemboweled while they're still alive or ripped apart by packs of dogs? That ain't sport for me, I'm sorry.
Right,
So
I can understand that. Yeah. Has the ban worked?
I think the ban has done a lot for protecting a lot of animals. Yes, absolutely. It's been one of the most successful anti-cruelty to animals acts ever. In fact, probably the most. You know, the first one was in 1822, which was to protect cows, strangely enough, from being beaten, and it was extended to stopping horses being beaten. And we've come a long way since 1822.
What does the Countryside Alliance, which of course was against the ban, what does it mean when it says there are still 45,000 regular hunters?
I think hunting is quite big, but I mean, a lot of hunting is drag hunting, you know, which is humane, and we are absolutely, you know, we're not in any way trying to stop people getting up in the morning, getting on their horse and chasing around the countryside. I think it's a great thing, you know, a nice athletic thing. What all we're against is the cruelty part.
Do you think there's illegal hunting still going on?
I don't think there's much doubt that there is illegal hunting. Yes, of course. I mean, they call it trail hunting. You know, and trail hunting is not the same as drag hunting. And a lot of these people boast that they have to have a kill. You know, and it's like otherwise it's having sex like without sex with a condom or whatever. You know.
Now you've been in Parliament this week. The Conservatives have committed themselves to a free vote on this repeal of the hunting ban. Do you think they really mean it? Do you think they're up for it?
Depends who you mean by they, really. I think Cameron's in a little bit of a sticky spot. You know, I don't really know what his inner thoughts are. You know, I would, you know, his family has been a hunting family for a while, I guess. But I think, you know, there are a lot of people, the Countryside Alliance, of course, egging him on to try and get this vote through. But at the moment, I think if they had the vote, they would probably lose it. And I think
You don't think he's got the votes at the moment to overturn it on a free vote?
I don't think so. You know, we campaign a lot in the House of Commons, and it's been said to be a political issue, and I never have believed that it is a political issue. I always believe animal cruelty is above politics. And we took a lot of stick in the run-up to the election by supporting some Conservatives who were, you know, good friends of ours and good animal people.
Opposed to the repealing the ban?
People who were, yes, who were opposed. And
what about the new lot?
the new lot, on the whole, we've met have been fantastic. You've got someone like Andrea Jenkins, who deposed Ed Balls, and you might think she might be sort of cracking the whip in that way, but she's very much an animal person, and she's a vegan, and she's taken up our cause already, and she's already invited us into.
I mean,
to lobby.
maybe the changing nature of the Conservative Party in some way as well, which is less a kind of landed, gentry, country-based.
I would like to think so, yes, absolutely. I mean, we, as I say, we have no, you can see, oh, they've got the wrong badge on. These are the Fox badge. But normally I'd have the common decency badge on, which is, you know, about the fact that we don't recognise colour. We have friends in every party. And I believe issues like this should be cross-party. And that's the way it should be. So we're very happy to have our friends in the Conservative Party, as well as the old friends that we have in other parties.
Why did Tony Blair say he regretted spending so much time on the ban?
Because it took so much time.
It did.
And because it was just so difficult to deal with. And I think it was one of those things that he thought all the other priorities that he had to try to get through, that this was one of the most difficult.
Why did he not turn up for the vote?
Was he in Ireland? I can't remember. He was in Ireland, I think. Yeah. But it was no. I think it was. I don't think it was a lack of commitment, but I think it was.
Really?
I think there might have been a lack of passion.
Well, he said in his book he regretted, you know, the axe coming in. I mean, that's not a man who's passionate about animals. That's
no,
I'm
saying I don't think he was. I'm not saying he would put it in his list of top priorities. He didn't.
What would you do, Michael, if you were still in Parliament, you had a free vote coming up? Would you vote to repeal or to keep what is now the new status quo?
No, I would. I would vote to repeal.
Really?
Yeah, I'm very against cruelty to animals, and I'm very pleased that we've made so much progress in that respect. The one thing I agree with you about is that I think it isn't a sport. I think fox hunting, and for that matter bullfighting, I'm going to really stick my neck out now, are parts of cultures, and I really worry about going around extinguishing the culture of a nation.
But wasn't bear baiting part of our culture?
Wasn't witch hunting part of our culture?
No, I don't think either of those is comparable, actually.
Why is that? It's cruelty.
What,
witch
hunting?
How can
Well,
tradition...
actually, firstly, maybe because I have a Catholic tradition, I make a distinction between the soul of a human being and the soul of an animal. So if you're talking about witch hunting...
See, I don't. And I would say a lot of the church would agree with me these days. You know, what makes you think that the human being is so different from all the rest of the mammals?
Well, I think vermin are going to get slaughtered anyway.
What does vermin mean?
Well, foxes are vermin.
It means something that you don't like and gets in your way.
Rats.
Don't you kind of think that we're vermin on the planet? Don't you think we cause more trouble than any other animal?
No, I don't,
Really?
and I suspect you're losing quite a lot of the audience as you go down that line,
think
because
so.
I think most people, think that foxes are vermin and think they've got to be dealt with one way or another.
Foxes have never been defined as vermin.
We're about to lose all of our audience because we've run out of time.
Very good.
Really?
But you're confident, Brian, you're going to win this?
I'm confident as long as the people keep voicing their thoughts. You know, we need people to write to their MPs. You know, people should always write to their MPs because MPs actually do listen to their letter. They look at their mail. And if you feel strongly about fox hunting, write to your MP and tell him.
Thanks for being on.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Now, that's your lot for tonight, folks. And unusually for us too, we're off to bed with some Blue Nun Cocoa. Because it's Labour leadership hustings night at Lulu's. And let's face it, even we're not that sad. But we leave you tonight with our nearest and dearest neighbours, the French, who undoubtedly have a habit of viewing themselves through rose-tinted glasses at times, but who take great pride in their sophisticated culture, their noble traditions. Nighty-night. Don't let the smell of burning rubber bite.
To me, and life will always bleed. La vie en rose.